what I'm going to show you here is the 25-pound Steamlink rig that I really use effectively. It's caught me fish literally all over, and I love it as a carp rig. It really comes into its own in certain tactical situations. So what is Steamlink? Steamlink is basically a very fine Dyneema core, 3 breaking strains, 15, 25 and 30 pound, which we actually call snag link. And it's got a translucent coating, so it's really unobtrusive. And what actually happens, as you'll see as the demo progresses, is basically I'll make the rig up, it looks all a bit messy and horrible, and then you actually put it through the steam of a kettle and it straightens out into this really good, basically super efficient trap. So when I'm making this rig, and because we're fishing the stone system all the time, we tend to fish very short hook links for good bite detection. We're not worried about getting our rig away from the lead and all these kind of things. So it does come off the spool and it doesn't look the most attractive, but it literally is a case of taking off 14 or so inches for this rig. You can either actually strip it back. I know you probably shouldn't do it, but I do. But you can get little stripping tools and strip off about 8 inches. So all I've done is nick that, and it actually comes off really quite easily. So next stage, basically put a hair loop into the end of the strip section. Now when I'm very fussy about my rigs. It is our trap. You know, we're asking an awful lot of a fish to actually hook itself, so it has to be meticulous. Look at all the other anglers, especially in the match and fly situation. It's really careful presentation, very neat, very tidy. So all I've done there is literally put a small overhand loop into there, and that's going to be for my boilish stop later on. Now, if anybody knows me and knows how I fish, I don't fish with round baits. I'm a real fan of the squab and obviously things like naturals, but in a pop-up format in clear waters like we're here doing the demos at Horseshoe Lake, the Carp Society's water, gin clear during the daytime, I'm always going to look at that extra edge from a sight. So this is just literally a yellow crave flares, and as you'll see, the squab has the 4 corners, so much more difficult to eject, and at the same time everybody else around us is fishing rounds, so it's never a bad thing to do something different. And again, I'm a firm believer it gives me an extra edge. So because I'm going to make this rig, I don't just guess the length of the hair and things like that. I will actually make it like this. So I've stripped it back, mounted the squab, boilish stop basically through the loop and just pull tight. Again, most of you, if you already know us, you'll appreciate that we actually fish the grips hooks. It's a third design, it's Pallatrax's exclusive design, and when you come into Barbel's fisheries like this, the fisheries really like to see this. It's a very effective fish from a hooking point of view, very sharp, but at the same time it's very safe and holds very firm. So whenever you're making the hair rig, you always want to be working through the back of the eye. So you're literally going to pass the tag end through the eye and just pull it on down. So basically you're going to end up with your hair, and you can just then decide the length of your hair. Now for me, I actually tend to fish majority of times a very short hair. A lot of this comes with all the fly fishing I've done. To have it too far away can give you false indication. There's a number of things. There's a number of schools of thought. It's a personal thing, I suppose. But at the end of the day, this works consistently for me. So again, always working from the back, you're now going to wrap that round. And I will literally, instead of putting shrink or anything like that in, I would just keep on wrapping it round. Stop every now and again just to bunch those fibres up. Keep it all nice and tight. Keep that hair lying down the back of the shank of the hook. So keep on going down, and what I actually take it down is to the actual point opposite the shank. So I'm happy there. Again, bunch up for luck, one more turn, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it back round a couple of times to keep all that really firm, and then again always working through the back when you're making the hair rig. Put the tag end through the back, keeping it all nice and tight, and there we go. So that's actually the difficult bit done. And then, like I say, if you step by step it, always work through the back of the hook and things like that. Now, again, the next section for me here is, I very much use this as a trap. I say it's not just a standard thing. So I always use shrink. Now our shrink, if you've seen the video on that, is a very, very high shrink ratio. It really does tighten down. So I'm just going to put a piece of shrink and let that fall down through. Now the next stage is literally, and this is where you need to really get your heads around this to get it right. It's so simple. So all I've done is fed the tag end through the eye of the swivel. Now it is literally an overhand loop. It's not a figure of 8, it's not a grinner or anything like that. All you have to do to finish this rig off, and I promise you this will hold, and it's because it's Dyneema basically, it really, and you just gently pull down on that, and that is it. Now to finish off, now what this piece, now it booms it out, this shrink tube. So again, it gives you the ability to cast and have the added advantage of knowing it's not tangling, it's giving good presentation. So all I'm now going to do is literally pull the shrink tube down over the overhand loop and push it over the eye of the swivel. So that's it so far. Very, very simple, very, very basic. But at the moment it's not looking anything special. Now because we're going to fish a pop-up here, I like using these tiny, tiny little non-toxic shots. An AB will just balance our 40mm squabs perfectly. Or you've got the option obviously to use things like putty, but this is just the way I like fishing. So just press on down. Now that's it. Now the next stage to this is just literally to steam it off. So through the steam of a boiling kettle, being very careful not to get too close and get burnt, and at the same time you don't want to damage the material. Just put it through that the steam off the boiling kettle, and basically you'll get a very, very stiff to supple hinge rig. Easy to make, very, very super efficient, anti-tangle. It really, really is an efficient rig, whether it be bottom bait or a pop-up in this case. If you want to fish a bottom bait, all you literally do is take off the shot and you're back onto the bottom bait. And what I'll do now is just put it into the tank so you get a better idea of the presentation. So what I'll just do is pop it in the tank and you'll see the finished rig. And I say bottom bait or pop-up.